You are in the Temple of the Rants, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. Why does my mustache look kind of fucky? This one is for Noob600, who says, was hoping someone would ask this, but I eventually lost patience and became a patron specifically to ask for this video. I want you to share your thoughts on zero punctuation. Thank you very much. Zero punctuation is a huge influence on me. Obviously, my fast talking at the start of these intros is a little zero punctuation-esque. I got into it at like the tail end of 2007, around when the Orange Box review came out, so pretty early into its existence. Just like someone who I was talking to on Instant Messenger had, I guess, watched it, thought it was funny, and sent it to me, and I watched it and thought it was funny, and then became kind of obsessed. And I watched it consistently every single week for, God, like, from that point until, like, 2016 or 2017, so almost 10 years. I was watching it every single week. Maybe it was 2008. I can't remember exactly when he started. He started in the tail end of the 2000s, but it was the one thing I was able to keep up with. Like, I've never been able to keep up with weekly shows. I've never been able to follow a show for like a long period of time, with the exception of Zero Punctuation. Occasionally maybe missing a couple and then having to catch up. But the only reason I haven't been caught up with them more recently is that I always watched it on The Escapist. Like, I have that bookmarked, just the page for Zero Punctuation. I never subscribed to the YouTube channel, and I just kind of fell out of the habit of going to the website to look for it around the time May and I started dating, because I just haven't been, obsessively clicking on the same bookmarks as often as I used to be. But yeah, I love his writing style. I love his sense of humor. I never really cared about his actual opinions of the games, because it's so clear that, like, what he values is such a sort of narrow thing, which is true of most reviewers. And it's always bothered me that more reviewers don't sort of just accept and acknowledge this, just, say, like, hey, I'm reviewing all of this from the perspective of a guy who's into this particular type of game. And Yahtzee has said that. Like, if he reviews a JRPG, he comes into it like, look, I generally just don't care for this type of game, so don't be surprised if I don't give it a positive review. He tends to like stuff that is tightly constructed, narratively driven, like more traditional three-act structure, character driven. He wants there to be a clear character arc over the course of the game, a character with flaws who develops into someone and improves. He's built his own games in the image of the kind of games that he likes, more or less. It's kind of predictable to figure out, like, what he's going to like or not based on those things, though there are other types of games that he'll occasionally like for very esoteric reasons, like maybe Euro Truck Simulator as like a listen to podcasts and zone out kind of game, or Dark Souls just for the engrossing world and addicting gameplay loop. But, like, in general, you kind of get a sense of what he likes or doesn't like, and that's all well and good. It means that I don't even really need him to review a game to be able to predict what his opinion's going to be, but I want to listen to him just come up with new jokes and, use his usual entertaining style, his visual flair. When I first started on YouTube, I did a show that was basically... It wasn't inspired by Zero Punctuation in the writing, but the visual element, I was doing like a white stick figure kind of character over a purple background, because I figured that would be like a contrast to the yellow. But like in such a way that it seems deliberate. So if you ever watch the adventure action RPG videos, those were visually inspired by Zero Punctuation, though because of the fact that I wasn't doing jokes, I didn't really do anything with that format, and I just kind of killed it because it didn't really make any sense. But yeah, I also I read Mogworld. I enjoyed it. I have Jam as both a book and audiobook. I've never made it very far in. Not that I don't like it, just that, like, I was never so gripped by it that I felt compelled to read the whole thing. And he's got 2 more books now that I haven't gotten around to yet. I played through a few hours of Poacher, but that game gets very difficult, and I was not able to beat it. I don't think I ever played The Consuming Shadow. His Adventure games, I didn't end up playing. I did love watching his videos where he played through his own games on the Let's Drown Out channel, and I fucking love Let's Drown Out. That used to be what I would go to bed to and like re-listen to certain episodes over and over again. It's kind of hard to return to because so much of it was about current events. But the actual Let's Plays on that channel are easier to return to, where they were just addressing the game or Yahtzee playing through games that he had made and explaining sort of the mentality that went into them. So, yeah, I do greatly enjoy that kind of stuff. I look up to him a lot as a creator because he's so multifaceted and such a workaholic. You know, he's somebody who's done stuff in like every creative sector he has interest in and done it entirely independently and done it well. You know, like obviously he's not making the craziest games in the world, but they all have a very unique vision. They have a purpose to exist, and he executes on it, and he finishes the things he starts. You know, he's written several books, tons of videos. I haven't watched any of his live streams that he does now because I just don't generally watch streams, and he tends to have like other people I don't know in them. But maybe I'll check it out sometime. Yeah, so I'm not as caught up on his stuff as I used to be. Used to be even more of a diehard. I mean, at some point, you kind of get to a level where you're like, all right, I get it. I get Yahtzee's thing. Like, I don't necessarily think he's gotten any worse. I just think it's like, at some point, you've seen enough. But I can still go back. I can still, catch up and watch all the ones I've missed and be entertained. So, yeah, much love and respect to the man Yahtzee. I hope he keeps doing shit forever.